Hello, everyone, and welcome to Performance Anxiety's 40th live online reading event. My name is Tom Snarski, and I'm so excited and grateful to be your host for this evening, along with Asparagus and Basil and the other cats, who I'm sure will make an appearance eventually. They're fighting under the table right over there as I speak. As of today, I'm excited to share with you that Performance Anxiety has been a thing, pipe dream reading series that we've been doing for 3 years, 1 month, and 1 day. So we started in June of 2019 when Kristen Garth got in touch with me about doing it. I was hosting the first one in a hotel room in Texas, and now here we are. We've had just an amazing, amazing number of talented poets and writers who we've been able to feature in our readings, and tonight is no exception. We are celebrating the brilliant work of a wonderful group of poets who we're just thrilled to have them. Some of them are returners to Performance Anxiety. Others are brand new, and we're so excited to hear their voices. But it's really just an exciting time. The 3rd anniversary is something really special. And in case you haven't listened in before, just by way of preface, Performance Anxiety is an online reading series. We host it via Skype, and we usually do them on the 3rd Thursday of every month. And starting next month, I've been in an online class, so we've been doing it at 9:30, but we'll be back to our usual time of 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. At each of our events, we feature a group of invited readers to share a selection of their writing with us. Sometimes it's poetry, sometimes it's other stuff, but we have all these slots every month, and we're always looking for people who would be interested in sharing their work at a future event. So if that's you, or if you know somebody like that, please get in touch with us. We would love to hear from you. We're on Twitter at PerformanceANXT, or you can just DM us directly. I'm at Tom Snarski, TOM. SNARSKY on Twitter and Instagram, or you can just email me, tomsnarski@gmail with the same spelling. You can also get in touch with Kristen Garth, whose Performance Anxieties, it was her brainchild. She's our co-organizer. Unfortunately, she is not able to be with us tonight because she's been battling a really, really rough case of bronchitis. So she let me know. She did share some stuff with me that I'll be excited to share with you a little bit later in the evening. But here's sending our very, very best to Kristen for a speedy recovery. We may yet hear something of hers later this evening before we close. So I'm excited about that too. So without any further ado, and thanks for bearing with all that intro stuff, I'm really excited to get into our reading order for the evening. It's a really exceptional group of writers, some of whom I've heard read live before, others of whom I'm excited to hear for the first time. And the first reader that I'm excited to welcome back to Performance Anxiety, who also has some really amazing, amazing stuff going on that I can't wait for her to share with you, is Jeni De La O. Jeni De La O is an Afro-Cuban poet and storyteller living in Detroit. She's a 2021 Kresge Arts in Detroit Fellow, a founding member of the Estuary Collective, an amazing collective of artists and writers, and the associate editor at Frontier Poetry. She writes the Brown Study column at the Poetry Question. I believe the Poetry Question is being, vestmentally represented tonight. And her chapbook, Sophia's, won the inaugural Tyrone Burrell Chapbook Prize from Knight's Library magazine. Jeni has told stories with the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers, Lamplight Festival, Mouthpiece Stories, and the Moth Main Stage. Her poetry has appeared in Poet Lore, Columbia Journal, Sugar House Review, and elsewhere. Jeni's debut poetry film, Every Diaspora Poem is About Mangoes, was co-created with Real Clever Films and premiered in the spring of 2022. So Jeni, thank you so much. Such an exciting thing to have you on, and I'm so excited to hear you read. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be reading with this group of poets. I call these people friends, so I'm very excited. Speaking of friends, I had a chance to read this earlier this summer with Tommy Blount, and I just love this thing he did at the beginning of this reading where he read a poem from a friend. So I'd like to start with the same, and I'd like to read Zora Satchel's poem, What I Mean When I Say I'm as Domestic as Breakfast. And I apologize, I'm a little breathless. I'm still getting over COVID. And I've had food on the brain now that I can taste food again. So there's a lot of food in the poetry reading tonight. This is after Eve L. Ewing's What I Mean When I Say I'm Sharpening My Oyster Knife. I mean, I'm a clementine. What I mean is that I take up a deceiving kind of space. I fit in your hand. I'm bright and I catch your eye. Like a pretty little warning. You're afraid to take your nails to my skin. Your fantasy is to leave me unblemished. Yet, hesitantly, you peel me away. The citrus aroma lingers on your finger. You're not as careful as you should be. My juice is sweet, but it makes the paper cuts on your hands sting. Steaming in your favorite mug, I am coffee, black, deep, swirling, bitter and mean, rage to your taste buds, burning your throat. I know what it's like to be consumed, unaltered, no sugar or half and half cream. What I mean is, you're addicted to the way I keep you going. I know what it's like to have your codependence, your resentful need. I mean that I'm the plate of waffles on Sunday after church. What I mean is, I'm your reward for sitting patiently and hearing God's word. Perfectly golden brown, warm buttered crystals of brown sugar, syrup flooding the compartments. What I mean is, I'm maple, sticky and sweet, and I make you crave salvation only from me. Isn't that delicious blasphemy? What I mean is that you've dreamt of me, soft cake type of dough. I'm homemade, no Lego my ego, no toaster pop. I took my time being formed. You won't regret me. So that's Zora Satchel's What I Mean When I Say I'm Domestic as Breakfast. I would like to go from there to a poem that I actually wrote a few years back called Our Love Will Stretch to Cover This in Time. This is another breakfast poem. I've been craving pancakes. There are tests after I've gone. This morning, it was a last-minute invite to breakfast. Dang. Her pancakes are my blueberry dreams. When I bring in groceries, I make just one trip. 26 bags and a cantaloupe hanging from my forearm, digging a needless farm of red-hot welts under a black cardigan. There are essay questions on how I can reduce the hard echo built of my empty room. I wish I could freeze us before we strain against the framework of, when I made pancakes, I always flipped the cake before time, a mess. And here I have, again, something tender. We ate them anyway. Back then, we were still butter girlfriend sweet, but now my hunger is a sticky syrup on her fingers. All right, next I'd like to read. This poem is called Conversational Spanish. This is in my book, which is forthcoming this fall from Knight's Library. We're going to do a cover reveal in a little bit, and you'll be able to pre-order very soon. So this is called Conversational Spanish. Pegar la gorra. We are broke. And we love Jesus, the way only broke people can love Jesus. Ojalá que llueva café en el campo. Let's drink wine. Lots of wine, miracles of wine. And when the water comes or the fires burn, pray the way only the washed away can pray. Por si las moscas, before the limes rot, before the balance inevitably goes red. We scrub our porches clean with hope and ward off everything, good and bad. We laugh and drink, we wait and pray, and slowly we measure out our graves. All right, if I have time for one more, can't see your faces, so I just want to check. Good, okay. I'm gonna do, this is a new poem since we like to do new poems at Performance Anxiety. I have shared it with a couple of people in this call, but it's not published. It's called Notes on Theater. And this is after Aretha Franklin's Beautiful Gowns comment. Let me turn this a little bit, I can't quite see. All right. When we closed The Good Woman of Szechuan, I wore a beaded black top. Shensi's seams came undone in the 8th, and the Marlins won the World Series that night. Lately, I wonder if I miss theater like I miss theater, or if I'm looking for a way to slide out of the closeness of poetry. The speaker's threads too threadbare for me. Every year on my birthday, I get a mammogram, and I daydream about the giant frog heads we made once upon a mattress. I want to recreate one, just to have it, just to have something I can hold from before everything. I hid in the closet after Adrian died because it reminded me of the wardrobes in that costume shop. Miami-Dade Community College, Kendall campus, 2003. I could smell it. I can still smell it. I was back there taking stage gowns apart, cataloging parts, recasting scraps, fitting them to someone else's body, putting on a show. Stage gowns are immutable. Their reassembly is a reverent recession. I took chorus in elementary school, clogging, drama in middle school, theater in high school, journalism, storytelling, poetry. Por Dios, I just don't want to be a beautiful gown. My thoughts, they turn a broad back to moonlight, aching for a phantom step, nostalgic for pinpricks, and kneeling behind curtains again. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. And now we're going to share the cover for Sophia's. I'm very excited. I'm so excited that the artist is here. Daniella, keeping this under my hat has been the hardest thing. Everyone who knows me in real life has already seen the cover and heard all about you. So I'm just very excited to finally share it.
Is this where I say words? No, I don't say words. Okay. Ah! Okay, do I say words now? Do I say my excitement? Okay, I'm gonna say words. Oh my gosh! Friend, I just feel so honored that you invited me to be a part of your work that's coming into the world. When I read your manuscript and was thinking about all of these kinds of erasures that were happening, right? Not just like, of course the form was happening, right? But like the erasure of the Sophias, I was like, well, this was my immediate vision for it, to have this kind of erasure happening. But even within the erasure block, you see the person coming through, right? And so it's sort of like against erasure, really, is what's happening in the cover for me. And so I'm just delighted to have been a part of this process and your beautiful work. Thank you so much. I appreciate you endlessly. Shall I read Paul? Oh, your heart. Yes, let's talk about your heart. Your beautiful, beautiful heart.
No, I'm saying my little heart's going to explode. That's so sweet.
Oh my gosh, it's true. Please excuse me. I sing talk and it's just my way. Here we are.
That's so wonderful. I wanted to just mark this moment as the very first ever, despite us being here for 3 years, we've never had a cover reveal happen on performance anxiety. So and in addition to Daniella being here in the presence as artist of this cover, they're also here and able to read some work with us, which is really, really exciting. So I just wanted to mention briefly before Daniella jumps in that that first reading that we just heard was by, again, Jeni De La O, who you can find on Twitter at Jeni De La O, JeniDelao. And Sophia's is going to be out in September from Knight's Library magazine. So check out this, the chapbook that goes with this amazing cover, prize-winning, beautiful blurbs from many, many admirable poets chosen by Gabrielle Bates, with an absolutely beautiful blurb from her. So that was so, so cool. And we're so lucky to have had it as our first ever performance anxiety cover reveal. But in addition to the artist, again, being present with us, I'm also really excited to introduce Daniella Toosie-Watson as a poet, visual artist, and educator from New York. They have received fellowships and awards from the Callaloo Creative Writing Workshop, from VONA, the Inside Out Detroit Literary Arts Project, and the University of Michigan Hopwood Program. A winner of the 92Y Discovery Poetry Contest in 2020, Daniella has been published in Callaloo, Virginia Quarterly Review, Virginia Represent, the Paris Review, Poet Lore, the Cincinnati Review, and elsewhere. They're currently the profile writer for the Kennedy Center, just an hour or so from me, the Kennedy Center's Next 50 initiative. Daniella received their MFA from the University of Michigan Helen Zell Writers Program, and we're so lucky to have them with us. Daniella, thanks for being here, and thank you for agreeing to read. It's a double trouble. We're excited that you can do both.
I'm so excited that you invited me. Thank you so much. I'm going to read some poems, and I'm really excited about it. I feel this is very necessary to introduce my co-readers, my little birdcage earrings, the little birds, they bring me so much joy, and so the joy will be helping me facilitate this reading. So yes, here we are. Oh no, my joy has come undone. Let me put it back. Okay, let us begin. I will be reading, before each poem, if necessary, I will have a content warning. So if necessary, please feel welcome to step away, do what you need to do. Okay, so the content warning for this first poem, Sex and Hallucinations. This is my favorite title. Okay. Praying after sex is my genre. On the night we met, my new lover and I fucked, and then prayed to thank God for great sex. In the morning, he is a vision, but I'm handed a cup of ginger tea. I dreamt you were here, and here you are. The water boiled, sleep took me, clouds pinked my lover's face. We prayed naked, God watched. Be careful, it's hot, but that's not why I don't take the cup. I was tired. Your vision. I smile and touch his face. Tiny lights and vines braid around the black pipes above his bed. My eyes blur. His perfect mouth kisses me. He plays hiatus coyote, honey, don't you know? And then asks me to edit his poetry manuscript. I put on my editor's hat. Fucking is my wheelhouse. An old lover would play gospel during intimacy instead of something sexy to prevent my panic attacks. When I dream, I usually wake up alone, except when I hallucinate. One night in August, I woke up next to my childhood best friend. She was smiling into a distance. It's March now. His writing is expository in ways that don't serve the poem. I take the ginger tea. He kisses my forehead. I blow the cloud, but the tea is still breathing. He asks me to leave. My first hallucination this year was a flower, opening and opening and opening. Okay. Content warning, animal death and suicidal ideation. I masturbate and pretend God doesn't exist. Charlie the llama, pobre Charlie, was attacked by a Rottweiler while Mom wasn't watching. Back in the day, Mom left Dad in the back with the dog pack while she got the lemonade. The dogs ripped the smallest one limb from limb. Mom says animals are safe intimacy, but that's because she's the one in control, the dominant one, top dog, head of the pack. Chihuahua, Peanut, bit and tugged at the back of my pajamas, and she teased me for how little the pack respects me. Charlie recovered from the dog attack. When he was finally able to walk again, Mom brought him inside to tend to his wounds, and he slipped, hit his head on the radiator lining the wall. He died right there. It's never what you think is going to kill you, except it is. When I die, I'll do it myself. When I was 25, before ever having had sex, I bought a vibrator and penetrated myself first so no one could say they took anything from me. The bug. Let me put my little timer on because I forgot to. Okay. The bug. I couldn't let it drown. I ripped off a piece of my sandwich bag, lifted it to safety. Its little legs reached behind its back to stroke its wings dry. I too have stretched my legs in strange positions. Is this a leap? What did you expect? Me to let the bug just be a bug? To leave it alone when it had already planned on dying? To reach out and not imagine myself the God I wish would lift me from the water? Okay, this is a new poem. Unpublished. I had to, okay. All right. Thank you for touching me. There's a theme here. That's not part of the poem. I'm just saying there's a. All right. Thank you for touching me. I tell the crowd at the poetry reading I'm funny, then read a poem about masturbation and dying by my own hand. Little deaths. Oh, little deaths means orgasms. in case you didn't know. Little deaths. I'm on a sex break. I've been touched so many times, I don't know how to get all the fingers off of me. There's one stuck to the back of my skirt. They appear like sequins. I shouldn't have washed that dress. They appear like spirits when your God isn't listening. There are sequins everywhere I go. One went home with a lover in his shoe. On the cab ride home from the bar we went to after the poetry reading, my friend thanked me for touching him. At the bar, I'd held his head. Then he picked a sequin off my shoulder and placed it on my cheek. Placed it where Marilyn Monroe's beauty mark is, if my face was Marilyn Monroe's. My friend said, "That's it. That's who you remind me of." I'm not bragging. My pussy is fantastic. God is a God of little deaths. I die all the time, except when men don't know how to make me come. My lover, the preacher, said God is closer to us than we are to ourselves, then fingered me while I was on my period. Blood was on his hands. Then he died in my mouth. Men die in my mouth all the time. On my couch, when we got back to my home from the cab, my friend, who thanked me for touching him, put his head on my lap. I put my fingers in his hair, rubbed his scalp. "Thank you for letting me touch you," I replied in the cab. Because I love him, I don't want to die. After the poetry reading, after the bar, after sitting on the stoop outside of the club that wouldn't let us in, a woman, sequin sewn into her dress, glinting in the street lamp's light like tiny flashes of prophecy. It was her birthday. Comes to me and says, "Did you know I just threw up everywhere?" After I told her she's beautiful. After her apology, "I'm sorry you met me at my lowest point." On mercy. No, I didn't delight in the fruit flies' deaths, though anyone who heard me scoff at them would have thought I did. One version of myself would have let them overrun the kitchen. I've learned to harden my heart. If I'd have let the fruit flies live, I'd have named each one. Consider how small each of their hearts, how much tiny blood, the little distances the blood travels in those small bodies. God of tiny nuisances, who counts each hair on my head. I am God of them now. Stuck to the strip, I know some of them are still alive. Ode to my breasts. I've learned to love my small breasts. To put off the gaze, you know the one. The fat the skin holds tight, like the flesh wrapped inside the skin of a plum. Little plum breasts. If I saw you growing on a tree in an orchard of breasts, I would choose you again. In the orchard, each puckering nipple singing its own praise. Okay, I have two, yeah, okay, I have time. Yeah, okay, I have 2 more poems left. I feel like it's really necessary to introduce my other co-reader. I have been really excited about this new length that I have happening here. So let me just, I'm really excited about it. It's been bringing me a lot of joy. So my length will now be facilitating, help me with this reading. Okay, I'm gonna read poems. I'm just bringing you my joy, okay? Okay. Content warning, parental death and sex. This is actually an older poem that I was like, Daniella, I feel like you should bring it back into the rotation. And so here we are. Yeah, that's right. No shame. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right. This is called pediophobia, which means fear of dolls. Age 10. Dad, you look like a doll I wouldn't want to play with, boxed in your casket. The mortician tried to paint you pretty. I wanted to be pretty too, but Mom says makeup is inappropriate for funerals. I thought if I sat you on my lap, your eyelids might roll back, make your eyes bulge, like you'd seen a dead body. But the mortician says your lids are glued shut. What pretty eyes you have, your cousin tells me just before the viewing. I got them from my dad. Age 20. At my birthday dinner, My friends give me a doll from their visit to Germany. She looks like me, a little girl with dark hair, wide eyes, and thick black lashes. I cry at the kind gesture. I don't tell them I'm afraid. I love her, I say, and rest her on my lap under my napkin. Later that night, I sleep with her, next to me, in case she feels abandoned on the desk and retaliates by shifting her eyes or saying my name. Nothing extraordinary, just enough to show me she's alive. Age 24. My lover wants me to call him Daddy. I think it's weird, but I want him. We never have sex, but it feels like we do. You died. I haven't lived out the ages since. I find a fuller body in the mirror, a woman I did not expect, who I don't want. I tell my lover that I miss you. I'm jealous of your dad, he says. He lies in bed, glances over my body, and your eyes shift. He lays me on his lap under his blanket. He spanks me, and I believe him. I call him Daddy. I hear my name whispered, calling me back to the reception entrance, calling me back to my body and yours. Age 24. One night, in my lover's room, I have a flashback to your funeral. My small body at the entrance, I am seeing you, Dad, for the first time, over rows of empty chairs. My body is filled with chairs. I am heavy with the stench of embalming fluid. I touch your cold skin. You are still dying. And the final poem. Thank you, friends, for having me. Thank you for making space for my hair and my birds and my poems, and, for being here and staying. I appreciate all of you. Jeni, you are a miracle, and you are so appreciated. I need to say that. Thank you for everything and for having me be a part of your wonderful, incredible life and book. Okay. And thank you, Tom, for having me as a part of Performance Anxiety. Okay. A series of small miracles. After Ross Gay, after Gwendolyn Brooks. This morning, I stepped outside and the chill kissed my forehead, but only after I gave permission. And afterwards, I was still okay with the touch. And when I returned to my apartment, I was okay with the leaving, but we aren't there yet. My neighbor walked by with their dog, stopped to let me pet her and thanked me for doing so. And listen, now I will tell you. Today, my room is warm. I sit on my bed. I lift my shorts. I notice the crease between my thigh and lower belly. I trace my finger between the small valley and say, it is good. I notice my thigh. It's generosity. Squeeze the fat of it. Slap it one time for good measure. Listen, in this poem, there are no men. I give to myself and give again. I cut my small breast, and I'm thankful. There's no one here to tell her that she does not have enough to give. I play a record, and my mind is clear to hear it. Today, I lie in bed all afternoon, and it is my choice. I breathe in. The breathing is simple. I breathe out. The mango girl fills my room. I crawl into a cradle of branches, rest my head on a bunch of mangoes. Yesterday, I heard someone call out sorrow, and I did not turn my head. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniella, for being here. That again was Daniella Toosie-Watson, who we are here and so excited to have with us as a reader and as featured artist on the Sophia's covers. So you can check out some of Daniella's work on their website, which is toosie.art, TOOSIE.ART. So you can find their poetry, nonfiction, artwork, and beyond there. So please consider checking that out. And we're so glad. This has been such a wonderful top half of the order to all the love is so great to see. So thank you so much for bringing that here tonight. That's been wonderful. And We are moving really quickly. We never, we usually have a boatload of readers, but we're already in the back half of our order for tonight. And Basil's complaining about that, which he rightfully is, because we want more poetry all the time. But it is such an incredible pair of readers who are going to close us out. And I'm really excited to introduce the first of the two in Kip Shanks. Kip Shanks is a poet from New Jersey, currently living and writing in Columbia, South Carolina. You can find their poems in Leavings and anthologies from Get Fresh Books and the University of Hell Press. So Kip, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to hear your work. Welcome to Performance Anxiety.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Danielle and Jenny, that blew me away. I don't know if I'm hungry or horny or what those things made me feel, but just amazing to hear people who I feel like I see passing on the internet all the time. So like hear their voices. Yeah, there we go. See, but yeah, amazing to hear and see people who I feel like are in the peripherals of the internet all the time. So thank you to everyone who read, and Ashley, also excited to hear you read. So I'm going to start with this poem that kind of originated from my love of custom license plates turning into an obsession with custom license plates. Also kind of came out of feeling a bit homesick for New Jersey. If anyone is from New Jersey or has spent a good amount of time in New Jersey, they know what the roads are like here and what driving in New Jersey is like. So this poem is about driving and missing New Jersey. This is Auguries of Lateness, with an epigraph from Clarice Lispector, who has not asked himself at some time or other, am I a monster, or is this what it means to be a person? From The Hour of the Star. A wind-widened box plays chicken with an N47 AUU before the Duncan Valvoline exit. Hurstrom's Phantom, you're neons behind the senior transport van. We think, oh lovely, a town with a circus. UGG 82R nips a telephone pole aged by parables of prodigal pets. A dented and raspberry-doused Z2J Yup, whacked on its glass gaps by a cane, some distance from an unfashionable tote, amongst a spatter of plastic lilies. Kisses between a stranger's and a huff for me. You cannot make this up. Existence is rare and unusual, we say. Change throws bad gifts out the window and keeps going. A meat guy flies past, strong, stoic, and asleep, tenderly behind the wheel, as if napping in a Grecian war tent. That Kathy, she's catching up to something. A 2B, 2-die on the emergency ramp, a milk crate of wild flowers spit one by one into the trunk. Money slams drunk into last night's prom goers and their puppies. The jaws of life split open a wound, birthing tragedy, morning traffic. Okay, I'm gonna read a couple of pages from this long poem I've been working on. I wrote a majority of this poem at work at my pretty much minimum wage job at a eco-friendly granola grocery store. Just kind of one of those places that's like really cute when you're a customer, and then as soon as you start working there, you see all of like the evil going on there and kind of how grotesque everything can be when you're there for too many hours. This poem's also mostly about light. I don't think I'm really reading these in any particular order. I will give a content warning for one of the pages later on, but these are a couple pages from my long poem I'm working on, currently called The Agency of Light, but tentative working title. In the gray grays of a southern Sunday, I still don't know what I'm looking for when I hold $100 bills up to the light in an effort to determine their realness. A watermark, a change in frequency between the colored threads woven into the firmed pulp. More green, more purple, less. What color is money anyway? I'm searching for a density of small lines, all which indicate a particular thing and resolve themselves with a particular purchase. I am a keeper of wares, this is true. In my mind, it's all laid out on a table. Garbanzo beans, hearts of palm, Swiss cheese plants, green apples, red apples, whole apples, tangerines and persimmons, sugar cane, grapes, and honeydew melon. Organic pregnancy tests, herbal napkins, a spirulina bag being filleted with a knife. All proper, in a line, spaced apart by the spotlight surrounding and containing each item. The spotlight makes one square and one long rectangle on the blade and begins telling a story. A boy's first knife cost $15. A man, one with the Sawtooth Mountains and a wife, teaches him how to turn a bunch of nothing into a buckskin sheath, fringed and beaded and completely free of cost. The knife becomes more than a knife, the prismatic glare says. The cost and rewards open him a little, he says, in a small and important way. The lights turn blush. Opening, opening, little openings. What is a buckskin sheath but a thing to put a knife in, a made little opening? Aside, talking about real animals. They're shutting off all the lights in Texas now, you know, just for the birds. All while my New Year's resolution was to be less like birds. So now I'm here thinking, wait, I was meant to be a migratory fowl. Where's my bone beak and feet that just tap, tap, tap? I too am disoriented with lights and city lights, lost and traversing a lone star. I too have flown southwest, longing for nights that turn to soot later rather than sooner. Texas bird shoots neighbor in wing over motion sensor light. Texas, I love you. It was all for a dog doing doggy business in the evening that this floodlight burnt nightly. There was a chirping confrontation which revealed, with passion, that all this time the neighbor's dog was blind. I am not one for hunting. I can't envision a bullet in a bird's neck, but this I understand. Brief content warning for a vague mention of sexual assault. It's the scene where I have no money. My bank account survives just by the minimum weight for its age, and I won't be selling any more scrap machinery. Then there's a real Perpetua. Someone needs $10. Someone's back hurts and driving has been making it worse. My problem? I have no money. My bank account is a gross nickel in my coat pocket. There's always a loophole to any contract. Someone suggests roadhead and a firm hold of my tits instead of the $10. Once in a while, it's nice to be reminded of the blissful freeing that is having options. Once in a while, street lamps aren't so bad when diffusing their orange with squints like a building spread out around you in 57 parts, a massive deconstructed kaleidoscope pretending to be the Hudson, no agency over its movement of light. I'm reading Poem by Frank O'Hara at work. The fluorescent tubing burns like a Bobby Soxer's ankles. So true. Sandy comes in at a usual Sandy hour. I break away from Poem. 1 kale and 2 collards, some heirloom tomatoes, a bag of unsalted kettle chips, and 2 hot trays of blanched broccoli and vegan chicken shawarma take turns being held in my hands. She tells me a Chick-fil-A sandwich rendered her blind for, I swear, 20 minutes. Damn, Sandy. She asks if I can break a 50. We stand there, trading lines and algaes. She's in a mood. She doesn't know she's interrupting Poem. $1, a dime, whatever. I'm reading the white paint, the green leaves in an old champagne bottle from the corner of my eye as Sandy enters a second wind over chicken. The owner comes out to fuss with his felt honeybee orchestra. 5 things on a wicker basket and a hi, honey. He's grabbing the necks of the spotlights, redirecting them to his newest display, and the Formica shelves going up in the office and the Formica desktops over the white floor. What kind of office is this anyway? All so true. I'm printing Sandy extra copies of each receipt. Her and the owner float around the plant adoption center, beaming at the "Adopt Your Soil Mate Today" sign. She worships the plants as if they were the dirt they sat in. She's there, reading out the information on the pots. Direct sunlight, indirect sunlight, water once a week, water every 2 weeks, the shelves, the fluorescence above each level of houseplants. She questions the newness of the floors. They are the same floors. She says, "You must love working next to this. It's so wonderful. It's wonderful. I am so nervous about my life, the little I can get a hold of." Okay, fine. You've worn me down. I'll tell you something I want. A small ornate hat and a Letty Litton dress. Jackie Mason and the corn cobblers back again, swinging infusions from bow to stern. I want to smell the gas leak first. Could this poem end without me finding something to burn down? I want to be there when there's one thing and die going to zero. I want to be unable to recognize Flagship 29 or the calm asphalt sea that'll swell over the next 2 decades that surround the vessel, or the yet to be erected lone floating plank of the American dream. I want to be there with the blot because it's not an area, but a probability. I'm often in a tizzy, shouting, look at what these lights are doing now. Things are being taken too far. Hey, FYI closers, endings are easier than ever. You do not need to unplug the undershelf lights in bulk and the next aisle over at night. The plug is on the same circuit as produce. I ordered a bunch of Wi-Fi sockets for all the lights, so they'll automatically turn on and off at opening and closing times. Well, fuck me. How much farther are we taking this? I'm getting tired. My friends negate this tragedy with niceties while saying, "Kip, how do you always figure out your endings?" A common misconception is that taking things too far is just about murder. This is like some dark apartment. Things are being taken too far in the desire for any old place to piss and cyclical endings. I can't even bring Frank O'Hara to work with me anymore because of these lights and their metaphorical singing, which is also now ruining Christmas. Now that I think about it, those flashy singing trees that did a light show from memory while measuring long grain rice for some Patrice at work. It's time to say goodbye to things like Christmas. Great. Please let me be the one. Please. I am so good at endings. And I'll read one more shorter one. I wrote this one while brushing my teeth, as you do sometimes as a poet. If you haven't heard someone say the word toothbrush 27 times in one poem, you're about to have a first time experience for that. This will be my last poem, and thank you again, Tom, for inviting me to be here, and all the excellent readers. Thank you for everyone listening. This is This Hot New Toothbrush. This hot new toothbrush is worshipped by most dentists. This toothbrush convulses when you've completed your unit of brushing. This toothbrush beeps to alert you of enamel rot. This toothbrush will change your life. This toothbrush sings the national anthem to tell you, time's up. This toothbrush sends a warning to your phone when you pass by the beloved local candy store. This toothbrush connects you to your friends. This toothbrush is good for whiteness. This toothbrush knows when and where and how you'll die. This toothbrush absolves all stains. This toothbrush has killed the dentists who disagree. This toothbrush has shut down the beloved local candy store. This toothbrush, it's on Oprah's Christmas gift guide. This toothbrush is a plea of tenderness for your loved ones. This toothbrush has fallen down the drain hole. This toothbrush is resurrecting its liquid state, eaten by red acid the landlord brings over every time hair clogs the tub, which in turn backs up the sink. This toothbrush has congested the drain into a dam. This toothbrush has adopted a beaver. This toothbrush is alive, like the blob. It has congealed and climbed back in its green cup on the back pocket of the sink. This toothbrush has committed the world's smallest rebirth. This toothbrush will do it again. This toothbrush is in your mouth. This toothbrush leaks the glowing drug of self-acceptance, trickling it down, filling your feckless heart, making you whole. This toothbrush is for sale. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've had a performance anxiety first in the cover reveal and our very first 27 toothbrush poem of all time. That, ladies and germs and audience members, was Kip Shanks, who is joining us for the first time making the toothbrush mark. On Twitter, Kip Shanks is at Kip_Shanks, KIP_SHANKS. And you can check out Kip's work in this wonderful anthology from the University of Hell Press called Erase the Patriarchy. It's an anthology that also includes work by other friends of performance anxiety like Joanna C. Valente and Ash Miranda. So check that out. Follow Kip on Twitter and elsewhere. And Kip, I'm really excited about that long poem and about the toothbrushes. So thank you for bringing this here. I'm going to be thinking about this toothbrush is good for whiteness for quite some time. Wow. Okay. Yeah, Basil's like, all right, get on with it. Okay, I will. So without any further ado, I'm really excited to get to our last reader of the evening, who is a performance anxiety returner. And also, since, publication news, etc., Ashley is also in the acknowledgements page for the pamphlet of mine that just came out from Broken Sleep, because Ashley did a beautiful, beautiful job editing one of the poems in it called Point of Vantage. So thank you so much, Ashley, for doing that beautiful work as an editor, and thank you for being here in your capacity as a writer and poet. Again, I'm very, very excited to introduce, and Basil is, giving me my time warning, Ashley Elizabeth. Ashley Elizabeth is a writer and teacher from Baltimore, Maryland. Her work has appeared in Swim, Rigorous, and West Trestle Review. Her chapbook, You Were Supposed to Be a Friend, is available from Nightingale and Sparrow. She lives with her partner and, fittingly, Basil, you hear that? Her cats, their cats. Thank you very much, Ashley. Take it away.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. The last time I read, I think, was like 2 years ago. So I'm excited to be back in this space. I'm going to read a few poems, some food poems now that they're on my mind, and then some new poems. One of the food poems is a new poem. So, but I will start with, I think, one of Jenny's favorite poems of mine, which is Chicken Box with Salt, Pepper, Hot Sauce. So this is for you, Jenny, because I love you so much. Chicken box with salt, pepper, hot sauce. A word followed by a please, and ketchup on the fries. And I get my family back in the moment. I wade through Lexington Market looking at everything, but only buying from Parks. An Old Faithful, a tradition I hope to keep if I have children, but it is only a moment. I've moved out. Mom has moved on. Dad is alone. Grandmother doesn't need Faley's fish anymore because she's no longer on the way home. And the market is being rebuilt and gentrified. But I get to bite into crisp skin, tear things apart with bare hands, and moan. Indulge in the salty, sticky sweet. Devour something and mean it. So that's my first poem. I love chicken boxes. They're like my favorite Baltimore-esque thing, I feel. Also, I'm wearing a shirt with strawberries on it. So that's probably why we're feeling the food fantasy right now, because there's food everywhere. I'm going to read a poem I have recently written. It's also a food poem. There's 2 people on this call that have read it or heard me complain about this poem. So, new stuff and more food. So, 2 for 1. There's nothing better than that. So, realization at a crab feast. You're not from Baltimore if you can't clean a crab correctly. And by clean, I mean devour. Can't have nobody mama or auntie or grandmama looking at you crazy because you won't be all cute and act like you ain't hungry. Don't let it go to waste. Almost nothing worse than a half-picked shell, but the emptiness of feeling sorry for yourself the way that I do. Hollow. I care too much. Pile my plate full of things you can't get otherwise. Tell myself to swallow, whether I am full or not, in the hope for something better. So there's that crab poem. And then I don't know if I want to read this crab poem right now. Maybe I will. I'll do it. Why not?
Do it.
This poem is called How to Eat a Crab. Prepare. Paper, bag, hammer, knife, butter, melted more. Paper, trash pile. Settle, scooch, stretch, elongate, reach, pick, bring closer, pile up. Begin. Grab, center, sniff, turn, slide, under, open, enter, crack, coax, snap, twist, pick, suck, nibble, finger, pick, nibble, twist, slurp. Repeat until pick, 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 snap, pick, suck, hoover, lick. I'm gonna read a poem from my chat that's coming out. Hopefully next year. I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully next year. I don't have a pub date yet, so I will read one of those poems. This chap has been like a labor of love for the past several years, so I'm so happy that it's finally like getting out there into the world. This poem is for like all the people that visit plantations and expect to have like a good time. This is for those people. It's called Not What We Expected. Y'all must be hearing heavy hymns hummed by ashen ghosts of the ancestors toiling to the horizon. What y'all expect when you tiptoeing onto old plantations? These tour guides tell the truth, whether you can respect it or not. Truth consists of a cracked whip, strange fruit swinging from trees, bloody hands from picking cotton, bloody backs from cracked whip, blacks being bought and sold, black family torn apart, bounty on escaped black head, black baby as alligator bait, broken bucks, branding, belief in black inferiority, but belief in black superpower, black blood, innocent blood, blood in the soil. The blood is on your hands now. The anger is in my veins now. Don't be mad they stopped sugarcoating this shit. Be mad that they ever did. I never got the sugarcoated version, but I wish I had. Y'all expect the best out of your ancestors, but I know better, because I can only expect a few things out of mine. Slaveholders weren't nice or kind or just doing their job, despite what they think. Slaves weren't happy. Ain't no such thing as a happy slave, just one used to their surroundings and sacrifice. What did you really expect? Don't worry, this conversation is a safe space. It's okay, be honest. You want a white savior stories, but ain't nothing honest about that. My ancestors picked cotton, not daisies. And I'm going to find one more poem from this collection that I would like to share with you all. My computer is moving like super slow right now, but that's okay. Yes, I'll read this poem. This poem is called Today. The ancestors do not know me except for when they see my anger, and they are there, and willing to come to life and fuel my anger with their tears, with their frustration with knowing things have not changed from when they killed niggas for being niggas and bred more niggas with nigga women just to get more stock. Today, nigga women die as easily as nigga men, just different. We, nigga women, still not safe. And I think I'm going to end on that one.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for sharing those poems with us and for being back on Performance Anxiety. I can't believe it's been that long, but I'm so glad that you're back with us. And that again was Ashley Elizabeth, who you can find on Instagram and Twitter at AE_the poet. And Ashley's new chapbook, which is forthcoming from Alternating Current, is titled Black Has Every Right to Be Angry. And it's coming out hopefully, like Ashley, you were saying, hopefully next year. We're really excited to keep an ear to the ground for it. And Ashley, as I may have mentioned or failed to mention, is also mentioning that Sundress Publications is open for submissions for full-length collections and applications for spring residencies. Submissions and app fees are waived for BIPOC writers, right, Blaisley? Yes, that is part of it. All right, so thank you for plugging that opportunity, Ashley, and thank you for being here with us. It's been such a privilege and honor to hear your work and everybody's work here tonight, and it's just an amazing, amazing reading. A great way to like hit a crest of summer because people keep saying stuff like, we're far into summer, and I'm like, no, it's still happening. I got the shirt. It's going forever. So believe it or not, we are actually at the end of our live reading set for tonight. So I just want to say thank you so much before we close to all of our readers for sharing their beautiful work with us this evening. And thank you too to our listeners, both live in the call with us. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for giving this hour of your life over to poetry. I really hope that if you're listening with a chaplet of new poems close at hand, or if you're a reader and you know somebody who you think would kill it in this space, really please consider either having them drop us a line or telling us about them so we can drop them a line. We are at Performance ANXT on Twitter, or you can email me at tomsnarski@gmail.com. We'd love to have you share your work at a future event. It looks like our next reading is going to be on August, I think, 25th, which is not the third Thursday because we just can't stick to a schedule to save our lives, because we'll be driving to Rochester, New York, my wife and I at the time. So we'll figure out how it's going to work. But we would love to see you if we can. So I always try to close Performance Anxiety with a poem or two, or in this case, maybe more than two. But in particular, I wanted to share some work tonight from people who couldn't be here for various reasons. So the first poem I want to read, it's always kind of like a fun gender experiment for me to read Kristen's poems out loud, but it's by Kristen Garth, our co-organizer. It's a favorite poem of someone who I'll mention in a minute. It's called Girl with a Pen. So I cannot read Kristen's poems nearly as well as Kristen can, so you're getting the budget substitute, but this is Girl with a Pen. A southern snowflake in blizzard descends. The winter you're born beach town snowed in. An alabaster tourist never blends. You're not like your parents, you don't pretend. Your town's churches, strip clubs, Puritan sin. You know very well by the time you're 10, it's beaten inside till you comprehend. Their notion of naked you'll transcend. They show their souls while you show them your skin. Champagne room secrets they let you listen. Girl, just beginning, they don't know your end. You write in pink ink, these businessmen. It's who you become, not how you begin. How they will know you is Girl with a Pen. So that's one of Kristen's many sonnets. And so while Kristen recovers, and we hope that she'll be back with us for the next Performance Anxiety, since she's always our first reader. So this time she got to be our last reader by proxy. I also just wanted to close with a couple of poems because it's been kind of a rough month for poetry. We lost a couple of poets who I really love and admire. One is the poet Noah Eli Gordon, who went to UMass, was up my way when I was in Massachusetts, and then was based in Denver. And his book, several of his books were some of the first books I ever bought when I was getting into poetry. This book in particular, his collaboration with Joshua Marie Wilkinson, is really, really close to my heart. It's just like taught me that collaborative poetry was even a thing that could happen. And then not long after that, unfortunately, one of our very own reader from Performance Anxiety a couple years back Elizabeth Victoria Aldrich, or Eris. We lost her very, very young, and really suddenly. So I'm just going to read a couple of poems by these poets to close us for tonight. Just as a gesture of thanks for what their work has done for me personally, for the community more broadly, and just because I think it's something that is really important to do. So I'm going to read a couple of poems from Noah Eli Gordon and Joshua Marie Wilkinson's collaborative book, and then I'm going to close with an excerpt from Eris's book, Ruthless Little Things. And I'm just going to go right into the poem. So I'll mention now that we're also going to put links in the video description to a fundraiser connected to supporting Noah's family, just a meal train type thing, and then also a link to Eris's book, the proceeds of which will support her family as well. So they'll be with us in that way. Thanks, Basil. So this is a poem or a couple of excerpts from this book called Figures for a Darkroom Voice by Noah Eli Gordon and Joshua Marie Wilkinson. I made the movie you've been falling from for months now. Smoky tar might tether you to the ground, but it won't tell you which direction your donkeys face. You see, you are the man weaving noise from the red radio after its dainty refinement orchestrates a disbelief in electricity. This dance requires no movement. No waltz from any angle can reveal the wound properly, correct our school teacher's fix, can undo an equation's finality, passing from blackboard to bank book with the sound of footsteps dubbed in as an afterthought. And then this excerpt that will close us out is from Eris's really incredible book called Ruthless Little Things. And I'm just going to read a short segment from it. Desire like crawling on hands and knees. Daily I waited outside the door of dwelling, like a stray, like a worn out thing, waiting for someone to take me in. Offer me food and company, give cute name and caress, let me curl up with them and put me to sleep. Strung out, debased thing. I want a relationship that consists solely of exchanging wordless, world-weary looks with another person. I don't want to hear about your secrets. Don't tell me about your dreams. I don't want you to be anything other than what you are, a stranger. Days that are almost all shadow, contradicting themselves relentlessly without my saying anything. Clouds pass, one lie after another. Drunk only with idle thoughts in the twilight of our consciousness, the only marriage is between the prisoner and the absent warden. The God of heaven is the God of hell. Adrift and not looking, thanks. Errand, and the hangover is understanding. Honeymoon, keep it down, life's asleep. So stop praying. All the years of want and research can't cure you. It's a sentence of sunsets, one after another, day after day. The world's a lucid dream, but what's lucid is your memory only, your memory of what happened only to you, and so never happened. Research can't cure a dream. The world's a dream your research can't cure, so stop praying. Dreams are notoriously incorrigible. They don't listen to logic. I want to understate everything. Hangover is never ending. It comes from understanding. God invented sleep, so man invented love. God is love. Man created God, and God repaid the favor. All this unanticipated, head in slumber. Defaced, wayfarer pilgrimage ourselves. When being was still a slap-happy lullaby, it's got false notes and incongruity, and the song's embarrassingly out of tune, but you're too young and dumb to really notice. Pre-articulate feelings clinging to the unintelligible singing, and it's hard to be anything but quiet, invaded by darkness. In that crib, there's a sadness without harshness, an understated loneliness, altogether different from that which is felt at any other age. A nostalgia for when was never, and you don't realize it yet, but it's a buried sense of loss you'll spend the rest of your life missing.